Hello, Archie Dunlop here with Talking Astrology with Archie. And I'm going to talk about the week starting on Monday, November the 13th, 2023, which runs through until Sunday, November the 19th, 2023. So, in this video, I'm going to start off by looking at the week from an astrological perspective, and I will be looking at the big events this week and how I think they're going to impact us. You know, we have got a new moon on Monday, and then on Saturday we've got a conjunction between the Sun and Mars. And we've got other stuff in between of a more gentle nature. For example, a sextile between Mercury and Venus. So I will be looking at that. I'll also be looking at Joe Biden's chart because Sunday is Joe Biden's birthday. So, yeah, we should be wishing Joe Biden a happy birthday, and he's going to really need all our good wishes because, yeah, things are not looking good for Joe Biden, as I've been saying for some time, and I'll be looking at his solar return, which the annual chart that we have, that we can set up every year at the time of our birthday, and it's not pretty, as I've been saying repeatedly. So that's what I'm doing. When I've done the astrology, I will be looking at the I Ching, and my I Ching reading will have four sections. I'll be looking at the I Ching from a general perspective about the week. Then I'll be looking at it from a perspective of money, then career, and finally relationships. Okay, so let's start off by looking at the astrology. So top right, there's Joe Biden. It is his birthday, so we might as well have his picture up there. Okay, so this is the starting point. So I've set this chart up for midnight, Monday, November the 13th, 2023. Just to show you what the starting position of the planets is. This is set for New York. I've got to set it for somewhere, and we can see some of the things we might expect. So there we can see that the moon is very close to the sun. And, that tells us we're about to get a new moon. So the week kicks off with this new moon in Scorpio. That's on Monday. And you can see also that the sun on Monday is moving towards an opposition with Uranus. So it's a very dramatic beginning to the week. Then the Sun moves away from Uranus and moves towards a conjunction with Mars, and so this conjunction between Mars becomes exact on Saturday. So this lineup between Mercury, Moon, Sun, Mars, that's the main feature of the week. That's a thing we should be really focusing on. And I know that the new moon is at the beginning of a week, but that doesn't mean to say that after Monday its power has gone. New moons hang around. They can hang around for at least 2 weeks, and certainly this first week, this new moon on Monday is going to dominate the week. Not least because the Sun and Mars again are emphasized on Saturday with that Sun-Mars conjunction. So another aspect to consider, which is a lot more fortunate, it's more gentle, is this sextile between Mercury and Venus. And I'm going to start off with this, with really going into this sextile first of all. So Wednesday the 15th is when this Mercury-Venus sextile becomes exact. But really, because Mercury and Venus are going at similar speeds, this Mercury-Venus sextile kind of is around all week. So what is it about? Mercury and Venus as a pair are extremely creative, are extremely talented. At the same time, the sextile is a talented aspect. It's about finding our talent. It's about finding our ability. And so, if you've got any form of talent, particularly of an artistic nature, now's the time to put it into action. If you don't feel you've got any talents, well, actually you have got some talents, and if you put them into action this week, you can really see some amazing results. Just give it a go. See what happens. Mercury and Venus also often connected with art, and so great week for art. If you've got any urge to be an artist, then this week really is the time. Is the time to get it off. Get this urge. Get it out there. Also business, very business orientated. This Mercury Venus sextile. It's not business orientated in the sense of just being completely obsessed about money. No, it's about doing something that's clever, doing something that is intellectually stimulating, but also makes money, but as a byproduct. The key thing is engaging in business because it's a challenge. The money is secondary with Mercury sextile Venus, but there can be some very useful communication here because Mercury is a communication planet, Venus is a planet of relationships. So yes, sort of reach out, business negotiations, get some plans together. So that is fortunate, and that aspect, although it's exact on Wednesday, I would have said it holds true throughout the week. Another aspect, the Sun and Mars. There's the Sun and Mars. Yep, they're making this conjunction. As the week progresses. They're getting closer and closer to each other. Then on Friday, both these planets, the Sun and Mars. Yes, I know the Sun is technically not a planet. It's a sun, but it's astrology. We can call them both planets. Both these planets make a trine aspect to Neptune on Friday, and that's I think in most cases that's nice. I think sometimes we need to allow ourselves to have a bit of fantasy. Allow ourselves to sort of relax and get into sort of another world, to dream. So yes, that's okay. Provided you don't go over the top with that Sun and Mars trine Neptune. Getting into fantasies and getting into to the level where they become deluded. That is not something you want to do. So Neptune is a planet that's often connected with spirituality, and maybe that Sun-Mars conjunction making a trine to Neptune. This is perhaps time to put some energy into your spiritual well-being. Whether that's something private, like sort of prayer or meditation, or considering going to some meeting, religious meeting or whatever, going to church or other place of worship, that kind of thing, might be a good thing. Okay, if you don't want to go to church, I don't know, you can. Depends what you're into. I suppose if you're into witchcraft, you can join a coven, can't you? That would be a good thing to do with Sun Moon conjunction in Sun Mars in Scorpio trine Neptune. Um, whatever is suitable for you. And if you've had sort of religious faith, faith that you've sort of forgotten about, now might be time to rekindle it. Because at some level we all need to have some kind of spiritual life. So those are kind of the intermediate aspects, but I really want to focus on the new moon, because it is a very major new moon. So this is a chart for what you're seeing here is a chart for the very beginning of a week, and so now let's look at the chart for the new moon. There it is. I've set this chart for Westminster in England. I have to set it for somewhere. So this London time, November the 13th, 2023, at according to this program, it says 9:27 a.m. So you can see that there is an exact new moon here, Sun and Moon in Scorpio, at 20 degrees 44 Scorpio, both the lights, Sun and Moon. We collectively call the Sun and the Moon the lights. And this Sun-Moon conjunction is it's coloured by the other planets around it, and you can see that Mars is right next to this new moon, and Uranus is opposition it. So what we've got the new moon blending with a Mars-Uranus opposition, and that's really what this new moon is about. New moon, you could say, well, it's a new beginning. Might seem optimistic to say that it's a new beginning. The beginning of a new cycle. The moon is now waxing, but what kind of cycle is it when it's so close to Mars and Uranus? I think it's a new moon that is quite violent. It's a new moon that is about dramatic change. It's a new moon that is stubborn, but stubborn perhaps in quite a self-destructive way. So we don't want to fall for that with this new moon. This new moon, okay, it might encourage us to really dig our heels in, not to compromise regardless of anything. But if everyone takes that approach, if all of us decide not to compromise, then we're in trouble, because it becomes a real battlefield. So that is the main theme of this new moon. And I should say that Venus is also involved with this new moon. So there's Venus at 25:30 Libra. So you can see that Venus is exactly 45 degrees, is 45 degrees away from the new moon. So in a general sense, that adds to the power of the new moon. But it may talk about, perhaps the importance of relationships here, because Venus is involved with this new moon. But we shouldn't forget that Uranus is also involved with this new moon, because we've got Venus sesquiquadrate Uranus, Venus semisquare the new moon. So any relationship you're in over the next week and even 2 weeks, there could be a certain amount of turmoil there, particularly if a relationship has had recent problems, or it's a new relationship. Don't take things for granted. Things could go wrong very quickly if you're not careful, and if you don't pay attention to the other person. This is all kinds of relationships. Okay, it could be love, could be business, could be friends, whatever. Venus also is a planet connected with money. So watch out and don't do anything. Don't take risks. That's very important. Just to show you how the new moon and Venus and Uranus all fit together, I just want to look at this new moon from a perspective of the 90-degree dial, which is a technique used by astrologers, sort of using midpoints. So let's just look at that as a dial. So I put all the planets on a 90 degree dial, including the hypotheticals. And you see that arrow pointing to Venus. So Venus, because it's 45 degrees, is on this dial it becomes an opposition. So there you see you've got Sun, Moon, Uranus, Mars, all together. And then Venus is opposition them, and that just does show the symmetry of the new moon, but it also shows the great tension of this new moon. I think for individuals it's not such a big deal, this new moon, because we have free will. We can do things our way, and most of us are probably not going to be affected by this new moon. That's the reality of the situation. But from a perspective of the global situation, when we've got so much turmoil in the world anyway, whether it's in Ukraine, Gaza, possibly other countries maybe simmering away, waiting for something to go wrong. When you throw this new moon, which is an extremely violent new moon, as I said, connected to Mars and Uranus, also Venus in, you could get a very explosive situation. So what I wanted to do is show you the astrocartography for this new moon. So let me just show you, this. I want to show you actually all the places in the world where this new moon is right on the midheaven, because you can create a map out of it, and you can create a line going north to south, showing all the places in the world. So let's take a sort of global map. Okay, so there we have it. So if you look at this map, you can see that. Do you see this big red line? Big red vertical line. That's where Sun is on the midheaven. That's where the Moon is on the midheaven. That's where Mars is on the midheaven. And interestingly, with this new moon, it goes through all the trouble spots. You can see there is Kiev, there's Moscow, there's Gaza. Let me make this a bit. Let's find a different. Make this a bit easier to see. So let's go for let's set it for Asia instead. So there we're homing in on Asia there. And on the left, you see. Look at this line. You can see there's Kiev, capital of Ukraine. There's Moscow, capital of Russia, and then this this line where all of these Sun and the Moon and Mars are on the midheaven and Uranus is on the IC, this line goes halfway between Moscow and Kiev. That's, all of this eastern Ukraine. Then it goes down. It goes through Ankara, and then it goes through Gaza. It goes close to Cairo. So it hits all the trouble spots, and so that means that probably over the next week or two, these places are going to probably really explode. Now, I know you're going to say, well, that's going to happen anyway. That's obvious. And I just have to reply to that, well, the astrology confirms it. So yes, this new moon overall really, really difficult, really, really explosive, dangerous. We should not be taking any risks. We should be staying out of trouble spots. We should be very careful on a sort of personal level. We need to be very careful in all our relationships. Whoever we're dealing with, we need to be extra careful. We mustn't make mistakes. We mustn't overreact. We mustn't get into arguments. And, that might mean, in terms of our egos, we mustn't respond. We might feel we have to respond because our egos have been threatened. But no, this is not a good idea. So I think this new moon, although it's on Monday, it dominates the week, and it probably dominates the next fortnight. Dominates probably the rest of the month. And then at the end of the week, on Saturday, we've got a Sun Mars conjunction. It's kind of more of the same with in terms of a new moon. The new moon is a very Sun, Mars, Uranus, Moon thing, and then we've got the Sun and the Mars on Saturday. But the Sun and Mars are getting closer and closer all week long. So we're going to be feeling this all week long. Now, Sun and Mars, two male planets, two fiery planets, two planets in Scorpio, the sign of Mars. That is just more aggression, egos, accidents, people being headstrong, and so on. So that's the issue there, which is just more evidence it's going to be a really difficult week, a week of where people are going to be headstrong. People could make some serious mistakes, and we just don't want to be part of a problem. We somehow have to avoid it, and that probably means some self-discipline. This Sun-Mars conjunction possibly needs to be seen in the perspective of the fact that Joe Biden's got a birthday. So Joe Biden's birthday is there's Joe Biden's horoscope. Born. In fact, Joe Biden's birthday is November the 20th. So Joe Biden's birthday is actually on Monday of next week. But Joe Biden's solar return, in other words, the position, but the exact moment when the sun returns to where it was when he was born, his solar return is on the 19th, right at the end of a week, 11:01 p.m. And I suppose I should really be looking at this solar return for sort of next week, but and I probably will, but just a reminder that this solar return has the Sun-Mars conjunction in it, and that's his sun. So he has a solar return with Mars and Uranus opposition his sun, and he's got the moon on. The moon is on the midpoint of Uranus Mars, Sun Uranus. So this new moon is the Mars and Uranus, everything, it's just hitting him, and so as I say, it's just going to be a really difficult time for him. But I'll look again at Joe Biden's chart next week. Because his birthday, I suppose, technically is next week, on the 20th of November. Okay, so now I want to switch to the I Ching, and sort of give a different flavour for the weeks, one that's not based on astrology. Although when doing I Ching, I sometimes consider as well what's happening astrologically. So I started the inquiry with a question: what is the week starting on November the 13th, 2023, going to be like for those watching this video? So that's the question, and so I threw the I Ching coins 3 times, and the first hexagram I threw was enthusiasm. So on the surface, that kind of sounds quite good, doesn't it? It means that we start the week feeling good about our prospects, feeling good about what's happening. We're in a good frame of mind, and we're enthusiastic about the future. That's fine. But there are 2 moving lines, here and here. Now, this first moving line, the second line up, is indicating that we're not going to be that enthusiastic to begin with. We're going to realize that things aren't as good as they look, and I think a lot of us are going to be quite realistic. Other people might be very enthusiastic, but we're feeling, maybe not. Is this really going to work out? And I think that is a good place to be. But can we actually maintain this realism? And there's some danger this week that we might just forget our own senses, but as we move into the third line, we might, in the end, still become complacent. And if we're complacent, we could really lose the moment, because there is a moment this week when we can really get things together, when we can actually turn this enthusiasm into reality, something real. But there's a danger that we miss the moment, because that moment is going to be very brief. So when we see that moment, we have to act. We have to act quickly, and then, because we've got 2 lines moving, this hexagram 16, it moves to this one, hexagram 32, duration. I was looking at the Legge version of the I Ching, and in terms of duration, Legge talked about the laws of one's being. I kind of quite like that. Duration, is about. It's not just about staying with something; it's staying with ourselves. So what we have to do is we have to understand the laws of our being, and so this enthusiasm has to be maintained. We have to, having seized the right moment, and that's going to be difficult. But once we've done that, we have to see it through, and we have to use our own abilities, and not someone else's abilities. We're not going to be told what to do. We have to use our fundamental self to see something through to a successful completion. So, what I want to do now is just go through different areas of life. So this way, you can think about the I Ching and sort of what areas of life are important to you. Maybe it's money, maybe it's career, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's something more general. But starting off with money. So specifically in a specific area of money. So 16, enthusiasm. I think many of us are going to be quite enthusiastic about our financial prospects. At least that's the temptation. We might be told, yeah, you can make money like this, and it's going to be fine. And don't worry about all this talk about recession. Things are going to be good. It's going to be fine. It's going to be, in the end, everything's going to be fine. At least that's a temptation to think like that. And I think we're not going to think like that. I think we're not going to be fooled, at least in the first instance. We're going to realize that you can never take money for granted. Other people might be enthusiastic about it, but they're wrong, and that's good. But there may come a stage where we even ourselves, we become complacent about money. We will start to think that money will just come our way, whatever. And there will be an opportunity to make money, to improve our financial situation. But as I said in my general reading, it's going to be brief. There is a chance. But are you going to be in a position to take it? It's certainly not a time to be lazy. You have to take that chance when it comes. Because otherwise you could miss out on a big financial opportunity. And then this hexagram transitions to duration, and so this is about how we build and maintain our financial future, and how we marshal our resources. We just have to be persistent. We just have to decide that we're going to do this. We've decided to discipline ourselves in a particular way, and this is what we're going to do to move, so that we can really sort ourselves out financially. Yes, we can do it but it's all, it is all about duration. Okay, so now moving to career matters. I think it's a kind of a similar picture, obviously. I mean, enthusiasm. So, with our work, if we're going to be, there'll be the temptation to think that everything's going to be fine. That there are going to be new prospects coming up, new possibilities. If you run your own business, you might be thinking there's new work coming up. You're quite confident that the work can be there. Just have to, whatever you have to do, knock on doors, however you try to type for business, make calls, it's there. If you're looking for a job, again, you might think you just keep applying and it will be fine. But again, we have to be realistic. It's going to be difficult. It doesn't mean to say it's not possible, but it's actually going to be difficult. Yes, it's okay to be enthusiastic about something, but we also have to realize it's not going to come easily. We've got to really, really push it. Finding a job is going to be hard work. You're going to have to write a lot of letters. You're going to have to talk to lots of people and so forth. Finding new business is going to be hard work, etc. And then when the moment arrives, when a job becomes available, when the business becomes available, are you going to actually take advantage of the opportunity? It may be you don't take advantage of the opportunity because it's not good enough, perhaps. Perhaps you'll get a job which is not what you were looking for, and you might want to move on. But that might be your chance. Likewise, looking for new business, you get some business which doesn't seem very lucrative, but it might be lucrative if you gave it a chance. So the question is, are you able to give it a chance? Now, that actually requires a certain amount of modesty. And, once you get that chance, then, you move into duration. You have to take this chance, go with it, even if it's quite meager. It wasn't really what you were looking for, but you just keep going with it. As Lege said, the laws of one's own being. You have to use those to make the most of this chance and turn it into something that it didn't originally appear to be. So, for example, you might get a job that seems very humble, but maybe it's not as humble as it looks if you give it everything you've got. Okay, finally, I want to look at relationships. So, again, the hexagram starts with enthusiasm. The I Ching reading starts with being enthusiastic about the prospects of relationships. Whether you're involved in a relationship, whether you want to get involved in a relationship. So, if you're in a relationship, you might think, everything's fine. You're enthusiastic about its prospects. It looks as if it's going well. Even if you're not in a relationship, you feel you can make the right contacts. You can find the right person to be with. And again, I'm not just talking about romance. It's whether it's business or friendship, romance, whatever. But I think to begin with, there is a realism there. To realize that relationships can't be taken for granted, but that's good. But there's a danger of kind of losing that realism, and particularly if you're sort of not in a relationship, but you're looking for a relationship and you're trying to link up with someone. You've got to get the moment right. There is a moment where you can really make contact with this other person, where things work out, where you can make the key links. But that moment is going to be brief. So when it happens, when you have the opportunity to strengthen a relationship or begin a relationship, you've got to take that opportunity immediately. And then enthusiasm morphs to hexagram 32, which is duration. And this is all about how you turn a relationship into something long-lasting. So if you're in a relationship with someone, particularly if it's at the beginning of a relationship, you've got to and you want the relationship to continue, you have got to use the laws of one's own being to ensure that the relationship is able to persist. Duration is about persistence. It shows that if you use your talents and use your charms and focus on what's good and healthy about you, then you can develop a relationship and allow it to last for a very long time. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say for this week. I would have said that the astrology was a bit grim. I would have said, although that Mercury sextile Venus is very good. And that Mercury sextile Venus may sort of feed into what I was talking about with the I Ching, using our talents. Mercury Venus is about using our talents, and I think that's something we can do. So however difficult the week might seem, we can use that Mercury Venus sextile. That's about putting our talents into action. It may be a bit of a struggle to begin with, getting our abilities out into the open, but we can certainly do it. It's certainly possible. But overall, with the I Ching, the great thing about the I Ching, unlike the astrology, is that the I Ching also always gives advice. It doesn't just leave us in it. It's saying, yes, there are these problems. There is a problem that we might miss the moment. But it's saying, well, just don't miss the moment. Just be aware. I think the I Ching possibly is a bit more optimistic from the astrology. And as I said, if we can really make the most of that Mercury sextile Venus, whatever we're doing, I think that's great. By the way, one point, I was kind of giving the impression at the beginning of this video that this week is Joe Biden's birthday. I was sort of thinking his birthday was November the 19th. Actually, his birthday is November the 20th. Just to make that clear, I don't want to be accused of getting Joe Biden's birth date wrong. He was born. His birthday is not until next week, next Monday. Although his solar return is this week, right at the end of it. At least East Coast time. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say. Have a great week, and I will, in a week's time, I will give you another weekly forecast for the week starting on Monday, November the 20th. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you again very soon.